Hey, Riddle here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. No rants today, just gardening. So, you may or may not be aware that liquid fertilizer is great. The thing about liquid fertilizer is that you can use it as a foliant, which means you can use a really small amount in a sprayer with a couple gallons of water and put that on the leaves of your plants, and it gives them that extra boost and it helps their immune system and feeds them, unlike sometimes if you do too strong of a nitrogen feeding in the soil, and it has to kind of either you overdo it or you underdo it. But what I've always loved, my favorite fertilizer, and the ones that my plants have always reacted to, is the liquid seaweed. So if you live near an ocean, you can actually go down and collect the seaweed if your state or city permits it. You bring that home, you rinse the salt out of it, and you can throw that right into a covered bucket or container of some sort and get it decomposing. So some things to think about here is the size of your container, because you're going to have to put a lot of organic material in it and water. Second thing, smell. It's going to stink. So you're going to want it either to be able to be sealed really well or be a distance from your house. That being said, the great thing about making liquid fertilizer is you actually don't need seaweed. You can get the same results by using weeds around the yard. And the reason weeds are so great, and even better than if you were to use just scraps from the house and coffee grounds and things like that, is that a lot of your weeds like burdock and yarrow and those dandelions, the root goes so deep that those types of weeds that are so strong and difficult to get rid of pull out the most nutrition from the ground, the most vitamins, the most minerals. And so suddenly, as I'm always talking about on my channel, of seeing everything as a resource and not wasting anything, seeing everything as an opportunity, suddenly weeds, something that was a problem before, you will see as a resource. Because liquid fertilizer, all fertilizers, have gotten extremely expensive, and the price of these things are only going to go up. So wouldn't you like a high quality organic fertilizer that you made yourself and you know exactly what's in it, that didn't cost you literally $50 a gallon once it's been delivered to you? Practically free, just for a little bit of effort. You can get the kids in on this. They will love it. So let me show you how I did it. Now, I got this rain barrel on sale probably 9 or 10 years ago, and I used it to collect water at the other property. So I just brought it over to this property. So I'm going to use this sucker, which I like because it already has this downspout on it. And this has a pretty nice sealed lid. So well, I can't open it up. So I got my water in there already. Oh man, Bert is just giving it his all this morning. Shut up. Okay, so we got that. Next, we're gonna pop the lid off of it. Now, I cannot find my garden shears this morning, so I'm not going to bore you and take up your precious time and my precious time with overly obvious crap. That's one thing that drives me crazy on YouTube, that sometimes they'll take something they could have showed you in 10 or 15 minutes and draw it out to 40 minutes. Because time is precious. And the sooner you learn that time is precious and set boundaries and take your time and utilize it for the good things in life, the happier you will be, and you won't have that desperate feeling. So we're starting our journey around the yard. Really, any of these weeds, if they're surviving at this point with no water for so many months, they got to have a lot of good stuff in them. But I'm looking for specifically this evening primrose. I know it has a ton of nutrition in it because it's also incredibly medicinal. Has a very deep taproot. I'm looking for some burdock. Here we go. So the burdock I don't pull out all the way, also known as yellow burdock, because the chickens love to eat it. We can see some burdock here. And if you don't know your weeds, it's good to know your weeds, because a lot of weeds are just misplaced plants or flowers. Oh, you know what else I'm going to put in here? See this willow? Did you know that willow, well, first of all, willow is where aspirin came from, so you can actually make a painkiller from it, but because it's so prolific, you can pull one of these willow branches off and strip the leaves, and then just kind of like take a salad, shredder, like you'd use on a carrot or a cucumber, and just kind of shred the bark of the limbs of the willow and put that in a jar and stick it in the refrigerator for about 48 hours, and that will make the most amazing rooting compound. I actually used a lot of this as mulch around the trees, and they really loved it. It has certain acids and things that help with root growth and other things. So we're going to put a bunch of willow in there too, but I would say that you want to really chop this up pretty well, not obsessively well, but just decent enough that it can have an easier time breaking down for you. Versus if you kept it in too big of pieces, it's going to take a lot longer for it to break down. Look at these beautiful plums. These are damson plums. I'm hoping that when I can them or do something with them that they keep this beautiful blue color. Yum, yum. So gonna get some more willow. I'm sorry, some more burdock. Oh, God. You can tell I'm tired today. Anybody who watches my videos, you can always tell when his Lyme disease is a little bit in his head. Oh, wow, look at that. Wild rose hips. Yeah, these are all around the property. I will harvest these in a month or so from now. And they're going to be really good medicine, vitamin C and what have you for the winter. Okay. Thistle. I have some thistle out here somewhere. And thistle has, as you know, or maybe don't know, thistle is incredibly beneficiary for all kinds of things, including the kidneys, the liver. Here's some thistle. And it's one of the recommended weeds to put in your mix. Now this is going to be a little tricky because Mr. Riddle didn't bring his garden shears because he couldn't find them. I'm not going to pick too much of the thistle because I want to actually save the seeds for some medicine to make some tincture later. Some milk thistle seed tincture. Keep my internals working well. I know that's a deep weed. She's going into it. So anyway, just work your way around your property. You're going for deep-rooted weeds. I don't know what this is, but I know it survives extreme drought. I can't kill it. It's got to be full of good stuff. That's the thing I love about when you really learn about working the land. Suddenly, nothing is wasted. Everything you can figure out how to somehow use it as a resource, either to feed yourselves or feed your chickens or feed your garden or orchard. Fruit's coming a little early this year. And, that's no big surprise with the strange weather we are having. So I contacted some friends, and they're going to come out this weekend and help me to pick, because it all comes at the same time. So I'm going to work my way over to the herb garden now. Chamomile, when you cut back your chamomile and any of your herbs, those are all full of tons of different minerals. But what I really want to get to over here, because the bottom leaves are starting to yellow, so they need to come off anyways, is comfrey. If you don't have comfrey, get comfrey. It's good for so many things. This is comfrey. Oh, cucumber beetle, die. You do not want these things in your garden. They are horrible, and they bring disease. So it's not that the cucumber beetles actually eat and kill your plants, but they will, especially with vining stuff, cucumbers and what have you, they bite it and then they give it a virus, and then one day you have this beautiful cucumber plant, and then the next day it just shrivels up and dies. So I'm pulling out the underside leaves, and I'm getting this away because they're crowded anyways. Comfrey is supposed to be one of the #1 plants to use when you're making a liquid fertilizer. Now you're going to ask me, how long does this have to stay in the water before we can use our fertilizer? And that's a really good question that I may have to do a little more research on, because I am guessing it's going to depend on what time of year it is, because things decompose faster in the summertime with heat than they do in the wintertime. I think I'm going to put some of this in there. This is mugwort. Word to the wise, it's another incredible medicinal plant that everyone should have in their garden. You got to be careful though if you have kidney disease or something like that, or if you're on medication. But it cures almost everything. The Chinese use it as a cure-all. But once you get it in the ground, it goes crazy and just starts taking over like a mint. Don't ever plant mint in your garden. I made the mistake of putting mint in here because I thought it was going to be a good gopher repellent. And yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get it out of here now. Every day I just pull out fistfuls of it. The good thing is I use it for chicken bedding, because it helps keep the flies away and other parasites, and that's always a good thing. I can't pick any chamomile because I don't have my shears, and it'll be too hard on it if I just rip this out with my hands. So I'm going to come back to the chamomile. I have more comfrey over here. So you get the idea, right? I think I'm going to put these 4 o'clocks in here. You know, these 4 o'clocks have very deep roots. They're almost impossible. Here, they're like a tenacious weed. And they got to be full of nutrition based on how they grow. So this is purslane. It's in the portulaca family. You may know portulaca because it's in the Midwest, it's a annual flower that people buy that's kind of semi-vining and has these beautiful paper-like flowers, multicolored flowers on it. Same family. And purslane, people look at it like a weed, but it's actually delicious to eat and full of all kinds of crazy nutrition. And the cool thing about it is they do this traditional dish in Mexico in the morning where they stir fry it with eggs. It's like scrambled eggs. And the reason that it's such an attractive vegetable is that it doesn't get, no matter what you do to it, if you pickle it, if you fry it, no matter what, it stays crunchy. It doesn't get slimy. So we're going to put some of that purslane in our fertilizer too. I'm going to grab some more comfrey. Okay, so you get the idea. Now, you don't have to limit yourself to weeds, but it's just a great way to get the nutritional value of your liquid fertilizer bumped up. And don't restrict yourself with that. You can take any kitchen scraps or yellowing leaves or anything off of your garden plants and vegetables and toss it in the mix. So now I'm going to take it back over to our rain barrel. I'm going to get a pair of clippers and I'm going to start chopping it up. And again, I'm not going to waste too much time on this. I figure if I chop it down to, 4 to 6 inch pieces, that should be sufficient for it to break down a little faster than if I threw these whole leaves in. But I'm not going to bore you or waste your time with banal details like that. I'm just showing you the nitty gritty, and I'm sure you all have the intelligence and problem solving skills because you're gardeners to figure the rest out, and maybe even a better way of doing this. So that's it. I'm going to get chopping this. I'm going to toss it in this water, and then I'm going to put the lid back on, and then I'm just going to continue to toss coffee grounds, maybe some chicken shit, maybe some of my urine, some of this, some of that. Just keep putting it in there for a couple months until it becomes this big stinky goo. And then that is going to create this incredible concentrated mineral and vitamin rich liquid fertilizer that I can use in very small quantities diluted in water to bring the orchard up to health and to feed the vegetable garden and flowers. And I could even share it with friends who can't afford fertilizer, or maybe even sell it in the front yard, put it in gallon jugs, charge $10 a bottle, $15 a bottle, give people a break, help people out. Okay, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. If you like my quick money saving tips, garden wisdoms, rants, raves, and occasional magic, please subscribe. It helps. Bye. Bye.